It's so nice to greet you once again. And what we're going to do today is a study in the book of James. So far, this is our fifth lesson. We've covered the first 11 verses and discovered that James gives us a reminder that our faith in God is definitely going to be tested. And one of the tests will involve our attitudes towards money. Let's quickly review what we learned in our last lesson, the 3 laws of financial satisfaction. The first law was money, wealth, or possessions do not bring lasting satisfaction. He who loves money will not be satisfied with money, nor he who loves abundance with its income. This too is vanity. Ecclesiastes 5:10. When we look at the lives of the rich and the famous, most of them are among the most miserable people on earth. Their marriages seem to fall apart. Their children get into trouble with the law, in trouble with drugs, crime. And these rich folks are always wondering if their friends and relatives really care for them, or are they only after their money and what they can get from them. They've found in their wealth a great emptiness. The second law is money does not last. Ecclesiastes 5:11 says, when good things increase, those who consume them increase. So what is the advantage to their owners except to look on? There's a natural law. People seem to have the innate ability to spend more than they make. It doesn't matter if they quadruple their income over the years. Their spending always seems to match and exceed what they earn. Hey, what happens when you have more money? You spend more money, don't you? You find yourself with more expenses. And then the third law, money does not bring peace of mind. Whatever you own seems to own you. The more you have, the more you have to worry about. And when money or wealth is used to try to find satisfaction for the soul, money is elevated to a divine status, and the pursuit of that becomes just another form of idolatry. Jesus said in Matthew 6:24, you cannot serve God and money. The Apostle James will have a lot more to say on the topic of money in our further studies, but for now, let's go in our study and look at James chapter 1, verses 12 through 18. Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him. Let no one say when he is tempted, I'm being tempted by God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, and he himself tempts no one. But each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desire. Then desire, when it has conceived, brings birth to sin, and sin, when it is fully grown, brings forth death. Do not be deceived, my beloved brothers. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. Of his own will he brought us forth by the word of truth, that we should be a kind of firstfruits of his creatures. First consider this. Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial, for when he stood the test, he will receive the crown of life which God has promised to those that love him. James is declaring here that earthly trials will be rewarded with a heavenly crown if we are steadfast throughout the trial and if we love God. Being steadfast means not being tossed about like a wave in doubt and unbelief. Secondly, James emphasizes that trials and temptations are just a natural part of living. Being a Christian doesn't remove trials, tests, and problems from our lives. We face the same temptations, obstacles, and challenges that are common to all humanity. Everyone faces the envy and jealousy of others. Everyone can be misunderstood and lied about, falsely accused. All of us are at risk for being hurt, injured, or getting sick. All of us face the same perils of natural disasters and fires and floods and tornadoes and global pandemics. We all must face the temptations also to lie, to cheat, and to steal. Those temptations are there. And all these things are not coming directly from God just to tempt and test Christians. They're just a part of life in a world filled with people who reject Jesus Christ. No one, not even the best Christian, is exempt from the trials of life. James wants us to know that God lets bad things happen to us in some measure, not to wear us down or make us especially miserable. It's just a fact of life, and it is helpful in developing our Christian character. James goes on to explain everyone has a unique nature, that a human nature that has the desire to acquire. We each have things that we enjoy and desire. Not all of them are evil or sin, but if they are allowed to develop and grow, they can take control of our lives and get us into trouble. If these desires are allowed to grow into sinful actions, they can lead to our own death and destruction. The 14th verse says, "But each person is tempted when he's lured and enticed by his own desire. And then desire, when it has conceived, gives birth to sin. Sin, when it's fully grown, brings forth death." So James is warning all of us as Christians, be on guard against giving in to the lusts and desires that we each have inside of ourselves. Resist them by submitting our will to God's. James then goes on to point out the difference between God's gifts and material prosperity. He's warning us not to believe that success and prosperity are necessarily signs of God's approval and blessing. Riches and wealth may seem to be good for us, but if they lead to our losing our trust in God, they most certainly didn't come from Him. James points out that we are not to be mistaken and deceived by material wealth and financial abundance as signs of God's blessing or approval. Sudden wealth could lead to our harm and destruction. Just consider what's happened to so many lottery winners, the misery they find themselves in just a short time after coming into that sudden wealth. James says all of this is done so that we could be a kind of first fruits of God's creatures. Earthly gifts, earthly blessings, have a built-in risk or danger. And that's why we shouldn't seek fame and fortune. We should love the Lord with all of our heart and give honor to God and loving concern to other people. Money should be used wisely and for doing good to others, not hoarded away to be squandered on oneself. In contrast, God's gifts have no potential risk or danger to us or anyone else. And God's gifts include faith, serving others, mercy, love, and many more. For example, sharing God's love to others is without any risks at all. So we should share the love of God with everyone whenever we can. That reduces our natural lusts and desires and increases our spirituality. God's gifts keep on giving and giving and giving. That's the big difference.